I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me, and since then, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something.
It's Monday morning and I'm starting the week with my weekly debrief routine. I do this every Monday morning where I go through a set of questions. I always have the same form and it basically consists of 3 parts. First, retrospection, looking at what worked well last week and why, what didn't work, what should I have said no to, what could have been delegated, what lessons did I learn. Also just really thinking about what is the main focus point right now, what is the hardest problem I want to solve. Then the third part is cleanup, going through my email inbox, going through my desktop, my downloads, my notes, and just clean up everything. I noticed this really helps in starting the week fresh. Otherwise, everything accumulates and can get very chaotic very quickly. So this is a clear checkpoint. And then the third step, planning ahead, reviewing my upcoming calendar, blocking time for specific things, and most importantly, clearly defining my main focus areas of the next week. It's pretty simple, but also very transformative to me because it just helps so much in improving that metacognition, being aware where I'm at, what I'm doing well, where I can improve on, and most importantly, having those clear focus areas for the upcoming weeks. That's just the guiding star and helps to not just blindly stumble through the week and get overwhelmed by all the tasks and everything that life throws at you. I can highly recommend you to do some kind of weekly debrief routine. It really helped me improve my overall well-being and productivity. And it's a routine that I don't want to miss anymore. If you want to use the exact template that I'm using as inspiration, as a starting point, feel free to check the link in the description. I shared it with you.
Love yours.
Flow gearbeitet.
Love yours. No such thing. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. Love yours. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing, no such thing. Heart beating fast, let a nigga know that he alive. Fake niggas mad, snakes in the grass, let a nigga know that he arrived. Don't be sleeping on your level, cause it's beauty in the struggle, nigga. Goes for all y'all. It's beauty in the struggle, nigga.
Good morning, it is 7 a.m. We've already been driving for half an hour because yesterday evening we looked at the surf forecast and spontaneously decided to go to the beach because the forecast looked quite fire. And this might actually be the last chance for us to go surfing in Taiwan. Generously, friends of us gave us access to their beach apartment so we can stay there and hope that the waves are actually great. I'm really looking forward to it. And this is one of the beauties of being location independent and free in where and when and how you work. It's not always easy when you don't have anyone to tell you what to do, you don't have a clear schedule. That can make things hard. But it can also be extremely joyful to just on a random Tuesday morning drive to the beach, go surfing and then work the rest of the day. I really like it and I'm hyped.
给生里面唱歌，随时里面一龙鱼。
我送阿硕茶具和研磨下笔，直接给我4个字算大展宏图，大事清晨提笔出，大展宏图，搬来放在办公室，哎，大展宏图，关公都点头，有料。鸿运不能总是当头，因为他说要玩就要玩得大，玩得大点，谁穿越大老水坐得下，养下宠物，得罪小人没关系，得罪君主看不起，世上君子不贪杯，得得罪了道，对，黑灰蓝白道义有道。
Okay, reality check. Out of those roughly 2 hours, 45 minutes we were actually in the water surfing, I got 24 waves and had a total wave time of 4 minutes and 27 seconds. So you can see a big chunk of the time in a surf session is not spent on actually riding a wave, but rather on paddling out, waiting for waves, trying to catch waves, getting destroyed by the ocean, and every now and then you get lucky and get the wave. So it can be a very frustrating sport, but it's also incredibly rewarding once you're in that wave and experience those few seconds of pure happiness. Damn, this place is pretty fancy. Alright, we're back in the apartment. Surfing was fun, but also very straining to our bodies this time. As you can see, I got sunburned pretty heavily. My legs are sunburned as well. I have wounds from jellyfish. I get mosquito bites everywhere from the forest next to the beach. Yeah, that's part of the reality. So now I'm happy to just lock in, give my body some rest, and let my mind do the work. And I'm really looking forward to it. Work for me is not some necessary evil, something to endure from Monday to Friday and escape from on the weekend. I love my work. It's not easy and I don't always have fun doing it, but it fulfills me. And for the most part, I go to bed in the evening and I'm just really hyped and excited to start working again the next morning. That's a great situation to be in and very different from my university days. And I believe everyone can have that. It just takes a lot of effort, trial and error and perseverance to get there. And most people rather spend their lives following the path of least resistance instead of actually trying to unlock their full potential.
Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking, don't settle.
I've mostly spent the last few days working on Public. I created a concept for the onboarding flow and also did some more user discovery interviews. And today was content production day. I finished editing episode 2. I also did the packaging. YouTube packaging is a pain in the ass. Coming up with the title and thumbnail combinations is very, very hard and so much harder than short form content where you only have to think about the hook and the content itself and not about how you package it. So after that, I created a few more LinkedIn posts and I also once again went viral on LinkedIn this week. Actually, let me quickly show this to you because I think this post is a great case study on what makes content go viral. Of course, you never know for sure, but there are certain strategies you can use to increase the chances of a post taking off. And with this post, I used many of those strategies, combined them, and already had a pretty good feeling about it when I posted it. And here, there you go, 320,000 impressions. The post has done very well. Why was that? The post was about Lovable, a European startup, now unicorn, that just announced their recent funding round. And while everyone else was just celebrating them and praising them, how great they are, I gave it a different perspective because what I found interesting about Lovable is that they don't really have a technology mode, which also brings us again to the topic I talked about in the previous episode. There's a cool YouTube video from a guy that rebuilt the core functionality of Lovable in just 75 minutes. And Lovable is now valued at $1.8 billion. So you might ask yourself, how can a company that has a product that can be rebuilt in 75 minutes reach such a high valuation? So this was the topic of my post, and it was inspired by a really great essay from Ethan where he talked about levered beta is all you need in the age of AI. So the main thesis is the core models, the core LLMs are improving at such a crazy speed. It doesn't make sense if you try to build your own technology because it will get wiped out in a few months anyways. So the main focus should be, at least if you're operating in a low risk consumer market, should be on getting this mind share, building that brand, building distribution so people always have you in mind as the go-to tool for the thing they want to achieve. So I took Lovable as the main example, also named a few other examples, and posted it. Now, why did this post go viral? Well, first of all, I combined several themes that worked really well before for me in this post. I had posts going viral before talking about Europe and Europe's tech sovereignty. I had posts talking about vibe coding and democratization of AI. And with this post, I basically combined those two themes where I already know, hey, my audience is interested in that and they do well. Second of all, I was riding in a hype wave because this was just 2 days after Lovable announced their fundraising. And basically my whole LinkedIn feed was just full of posts talking about Lovable. So this is also very helpful when you want to talk about something and share your opinion on something. Do it with a topic that's currently very hot and in the news. And third, I gave it my unique spin. As I said, everyone was praising Lovable and all the posts were the same and very boring. I looked at it from a different angle and shared something that hasn't been shared before. So people were very interested in that. Yeah, quick case study on that. Maybe it helps for some of you because LinkedIn is just such a powerful tool and going viral on LinkedIn can open many doors that otherwise wouldn't open. But the most important thing is to be consistent with it because you can't just like combine those best practices and expect your first post to go viral. It's really a numbers game and just creating a lot on the one hand to just increase the chances of one of those posts popping off because you never really know what actually works. But most importantly, to sharpen your intuition and get a better feeling on which themes work, what kind of hooks work, and the only way to improve in that regard is by shipping and creating content. In a way, content creation is very similar to building a startup. For the rest of the day, I have some more fragmented tasks. I always try to put those little side tasks in one big block, otherwise it's too distracting. And ideally, of course, you only have your main focus, but that's not fully realistic. And I say no to most other things that are not related to content and personal branding or building my startup. But sometimes I want to. And for example, one of the things I recently said yes to was helping the residency in their application process. The residency is a network of hacker houses worldwide and a place where ambitious people come together to live together, build together, and just accelerate their journey. I also lived there last year in San Francisco and it was one of the most transformative experiences of my life. So I like to give back and help the community. And Nick, the founder, asked me if I would like to help in reviewing the applications for the newest batch. Reviewing applications and conducting interviews is one of those tasks that helps you learn and grow a lot. It gives you a different perspective because you're on the other side and it shapes your feeling on what makes a great application, how to write persuasively, how to tell your story, how to come across in interviews. So yeah, whenever you have any chance to do some kind of judging, assessing of applications or conducting interviews, I can highly recommend you to do it. It's a very valuable experience.
Let's get deep
We're getting dinner at a night market tonight. Taiwanese night markets are legendary. You will see later. But before that, we're exploring NTU, National Taiwan University. And I actually have a lot of connections to this place because 3 years ago, I was studying here as part of my exchange semester. And yeah, it feels great to be back, stroll around and go down memory lane. That's the main library where I was studying.
I also was studying.
Really? That's the cafeteria where we ate. You could get like a full plate of really nice food for like 50 cents per meal. Good stuff, good stuff. And the smell brings up so many memories. And this is where the two of us met for the first time. On a rainy Thursday 3 years ago in the futsal class. Time flies.
我们这辈老仔脖子上喜欢挂玉牌，香炉供台上摆，长大才开白黄牌。虔诚拜三拜，钱包里面多几百。一的是6合彩，男的是等合牌。来财，来，来财，来，来财，来， 能实力滚力，对应好运大方来。
Okay, that is my most sketchy camera installation yet. My task for today is data crunching. Together with an investor friend of mine, we came up with the idea of doing like LinkedIn Cloud Awards, where we analyze all founders in Europe and the US and try to see who of those founders actually have the most reach on LinkedIn and are most successful with their content. Because everyone knows LinkedIn content helps getting leads, but who actually does it best? I think this is interesting for multiple reasons. A, learn something ourselves about what makes good LinkedIn content. B, get data about the best performing posts from founders, which is really helpful for me as I'm building a product in that niche. And having more data helps me fine tune the models and come up with better frameworks to create posts that actually convert. And C, of course, reach awareness by posting about it on LinkedIn, gain hopefully a few leads from my own startup, and just a little bit more thought leadership and credibility by doing something like this. So I think it's a really cool task that helps in multiple dimensions. And what we have here as a starting point are like a bunch of massive CSV files with Crunchbase data. As criteria, we said it has to be a funded startup, otherwise it's very hard to evaluate if this person is actually an entrepreneur with a successful company or not. Of course, as you know me, I'm a big fan of bootstrapping. A company can very well be successful without funding, but just to have it a little bit easier, I think it makes sense to have this criteria. And what my task is right now is to enrich this data, get all those LinkedIn profiles, and also get the LinkedIn performance data, so I can then do the data analysis and get like a lead list and who are the most successful founders in LinkedIn. Yeah, I have no idea how to do that, but let's figure it out with AI as the helper by my side. When used the right way, AI can be incredibly empowering. With the right way, I mean you still should rely on your own critical thinking and not outsource your whole thinking to the AI, but rather treat it as your very smart assistant and partner by your side that can do a lot of tasks for you, that can help get started and figure out tasks, but in the end, it's still you that takes all this information together and directs all those smart AI tools to do the work that you want to do. In the end, you should still be the one evaluating if this is actually good work or not. And when you do that, yeah, it just helps to gain a lot of confidence. It helps me gain the confidence to be able to figure out pretty much anything I want and to tackle bigger, more ambitious problems. And Cloud Code together with Perplexity is just so OP in anything software and data related. So those are the main tools that I'm currently using. Speaking of data, I was just checking some of my metrics and it's really cool to see things slowly getting off the ground. First of all, waitlist signups. In the last week, I had 43 new waitlist signups and a total of 277 website visitors, which is roughly a conversion of 15 to 16%. I don't have too much comparable data, but I think that's pretty solid, especially considering that the landing page right now is pretty simple and basic. I think when putting more effort into the landing page, it could increase the conversion even more. But I think that only makes sense once I really have the first working product and the first learnings and feedback from the users, then I can use that to optimize the landing page. And also YouTube is gaining some traction. I just published episode 2 yesterday and not even within a day, it already outperformed episode 1. Looking at the early analytics of this video, you can see that for the first time, YouTube's algorithm is actively boosting my content to new audiences. And it seems like with the second episode, I managed to do the packaging much clearer. So the YouTube algorithm actually knows who might be an interested audience. I think there was an issue with the first video. Yeah, I just quickly wanted to share that with you. I think it's a good foundation and really motivating to see. But now it's all about building the product to get the most important metrics off the ground, revenue and profit. In the end, that's the only real validation for a business. And I really want to provide value to all of those people interested in the product as fast as possible to then be able to take their feedback and quickly iterate and improve the product. Yeah, that was my week. My weeks mostly consist of building content and sports, and I love it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm currently trying to experiment with different formats and styles for each episode. This video was a bit more lifestyle heavy. In the next video, I'll try to focus a bit more on the technical side. But please feel free to let me know in the comments what type of content interests you the most, and also what you think I can do to improve future episodes. Also, if you can think of any friends who might be interested in this type of building in public content, feel free to share the video with them. That would really help me out a lot. With that being said, thank you for being here. I truly appreciate your support, and hopefully see you in episode 4.